Welcome to Naturally Inspired Radio, where we expose what's broken in the healthcare system, connect you to real health solutions, and inspire you to take back control of your life. We want to help you feel empowered, informed, and free to live naturally without fear, confusion, or dependency. Download our latest book on real solutions for health at naturallyinspiredradio.com. Naturally Inspired Radio is a nationally syndicated show broadcast on over 100 radio stations, online platforms, video channels, and podcast feeds. Follow us on your favorite platform today, hit that like button, leave a comment, and engage in our special live stream chats, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com to learn more, register for our weekly giveaway, and explore past episodes. You can also connect directly with Tammy, follow her on all major social media platforms, and discover more about our featured guests and trusted radio partners. Are you looking for better health? Work with Tammy today and take the first step toward a healthier, more empowered lifestyle. Schedule your complimentary 30-minute lifestyle assessment to explore personalized guidance on nutrition, movement, toxin-free living, and natural beauty without pharma. Get started now and discover Tammy's preferred health products at naturallyinspiredstore.com or text Tammy directly 720-303-8868. Love the show and want to support the movement? Head over to naturallyinspiredradio.com and click on the support tab. There you'll find all the ways you can get involved. Join our Naturally Inspired community, become a preferred customer, attend one of our amazing live events, get your backstage pass for exclusive access, and connect to all things naturally inspired. Thank you for tuning in today. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Today on the Naturally Inspired podcast, we have Sean Stone joining us. Sean is a filmmaker, media host, author, actor, poet, speaker, but above all, he's a truth seeker and a spiritual activist. He began his spiritual quest at 10 years old when his father, Oliver Stone, began exposing him to different worldviews through travel, visiting 40 countries by the time he was in his 20s. He went to places like Tibet, Nepal, and India, and that provided a very stark contrast to what he was used to back at home. He participated in some of his dad's films as a child actor, like JFK, Natural Born Killers, and The Doors. So Sean then kind of developed a passion for history, and that led him to Princeton and then Oxford. His senior thesis on modern history of the New World Order is available for purchase on Amazon. Whether it's his newest book, Ephemeral Shades of Time, or his documentary film, Hollywood, D.C., or even his podcast, Inner Voices, one thing is definitely apparent about Sean. His persistent pursuit for the truth is evident. And I think you'll see that in this discussion that I had with him. I hope you enjoy this episode of the Naturally Inspired podcast with Sean Stone. Well, thank you so much, Sean, for being on the Naturally Inspired podcast today. It's so great to have you.
Of course.
I'm going to dive right in because I have so much. I could probably talk to you for 4 hours after watching all your content lately. You've had some great conversations with like some highly intellectual, skilled people. I have to admit, I didn't get all of it listening to some of them. I'm like, what was that? Because it's, these people have dedicated their lives to kind of exploring the truth. And so have you. And I'm wondering, how did that happen? How did you come to kind of question the norm?
I mean, I don't think for me it was not a leap because of my background. Growing up in the film business with a father who was doing a lot of, my father's really interested in history, right? You could argue his movies are mostly socio-political. So basically, you had a lot of stories like Salvador, which was about, basically about the U.S. involvement down there and in that civil war and how we were arming a dictatorship down there, right? That was in the 80s.
Yep.
His Platoon and Vietnam films, three of them were really about the dark side of the Vietnam War
Yeah.
and war in general.
Hmm.
JFK was just groundbreaking in every
Yep.
capacity.
Yep.
Yeah, we had an eye-opening experiences, in childhood, and then with my father's love of history helping inform me through my high school years.
Yeah.
I helped work with him on Untold History of the United States, which many people might have seen on Netflix or Showtime. It was a documentary series, 10-part, about the dark side of U.S. foreign policy, especially through the World War II and Cold War era.
Hmm.
So, when you get to learn history from an alternative perspective, or let's say from outside the box from a young age,
Yeah.
I think it just makes you more aware
Right.
of power structures and systems of control that have been in place and oftentimes perpetuated through media,
Hmm.
control of the media narrative, and storytelling in general as a narrative to control the human mind, mass hypnosis.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, you traveled a little bit too, did you not, when you were quite young, I'm sure, with your dad? And what impact
Sure.
do you think that had on your view of the world?
Well, when you're traveling, you get to experience things like, seeing different ways of life. In my case, I've been to probably 40 countries at this point, but even by the time I was, uh, tw- you know, 18, I think I'd been to like 20 or 25
Holy.
countries, including, from everywhere from East Africa to um, Asia, Vietnam, Cambodia, uh,
Wow.
to Tibet, you name it, India,
Right.
Nepal, China. So all these different experiences, it's like it informs you culturally,
Right.
different ways of life, different customs. And then oftentimes it also helps to inform you so that when you're given a narrative, like the media narrative around, let's say the uh, Yugoslav war,
Hmm.
the Serbian bombings of the late 90s, and when you get to travel there and see it with your own eyes and meet people and hear a different story, um, it helps to inform you of the reality is not as it's shaped on the CNN,
Right.
primetime news, right?
Right.
And that was actually really a catalyst for me in terms of my desire to understand history better.
Hmm.
Was seeing situations like the Yugoslav war and firsthand, the impact of the bombings of Serbia, and at the same time the lies perpetuated, about this whole ethnic cleansing that the Serbs were doing, and not seeing the full picture, which was
Right.
much more civil war, much more. There are many factors, many parties involved. Things like the Kosovo Liberation Army, financed by the CIA,
Right.
involved in heroin trafficking, and so the CIA is known as a cocaine import agency by some,
Yeah.
because they have a long history of trafficking in drugs going back to the end of the Second World War, when they got involved with the mafia in protecting the mafia's traffic out of the Golden Triangle,
Right.
getting ultimately to the Vietnam War, as one of the factors was getting control of that heroin traffic through through Laos and Vietnam and that region. So yeah,
It's
I mean,
important for Americans, I think, to mention about travel because, there's an extremely high percentage of Americans that have never left the country.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I've heard that. I think that I don't know. The more that I travel, even in the United States, the more I realize that even that is, to me, a false narrative too, because I see a lot
Hmm.
of people that are much more experienced, and how do you say, Americans are more savvy than the media likes to portray. The media
Yeah.
likes to give us an image of ourselves as a dumb people. It's actually interesting. I mean, they really do play up this whole, like, narrative of, there's the intellectual, um, liberal, elite that, are more Democrat, they're college educated, and there's the more, what do they call them, deplorable,
Yeah.
uneducated Americans that are predominant throughout, the middle states, the red
Right.
states that are Republican. And it's such a false narrative. The
I
more
agree.
you travel even in the United States, you realize that even when people are not necessarily cultured, that it doesn't take going to like a college to end up with smarts. And there's,
Right.
Americans tend to have smarts, although there has been a lot of miseducation. In fact, to me, the more dangerous thing is someone who is miseducated through our university system and our system of education, and basically being groomed to have that corporate job, to work inside of the matrix, to
Yep.
work for the financial or legal controllers of the
Right.
realm.
Right.
That's really actually a more dangerous thing than to be than to get no education and just figure it out for yourself. That
Right.
there are these things called conspiracies, and there is a control structure and apparatus that's in place, and the conspiracy is more ideological than anything. And the
Right.
idea of the liberal world order, where it's like the benevolent governing bodies, the benevolent IMF, World Bank, American imperial apparatus, all this is just sort of a benevolent thing. That's actually more dangerous to believe in than to realize that our country has been undermined, and there is this deep state that has taken over the republic that we thought we were born into, with the great history of independence and freedom.
Right. I totally agree with that. And that's a great point to bring up, because I am actually Canadian. I grew up in Canada. And I'll be honest, I grew up kind of with the narrative of, Americans are loud and I'm being honest. I mean, I live here now in Colorado, of course, and I love America and Americans. But that is how we grew up. They had stinky cigarettes and they were loud and obnoxious. Like everybody wore a 10-gallon hat from Texas, and that was America. That was my perception of it. And that just isn't true. And so that's interesting that you bring it up, because it kind of is the image that is portrayed. And even just recently, Lauren Boebert, she just became part of government, and here they are attacking her. She comes from a small town in Colorado, and they're already attacking her because she has a GED. She's not one of the elite, right?
Right.
But her values, of course, are dead on, right? She knows what America's all about, and she's about the Constitution. And but that's their way of attacking her, is saying that she's not educated. Well, she's not indoctrinated.
Sure.
Is more accurate, in my opinion. So,
well, there you go. I mean, honestly, it's like I don't know, if she were, let's say, a woman of color. I don't know, if she were Black or Latino. I don't think there would be any attack based on that.
Yeah,
right? They would actually be, praised because, oh, she didn't get the university degree, and so, but she's still, a public servant. So they would be actually praising her.
That's right. That's right. So as we are kind of working to expand consciousness and expand this, openness of what actually is going on, something kind of takes place. Like when you realized that, and maybe you did so early on that you grew up knowing that, but like for me, it was in my 20s when I started to realize that, oh crap, like this isn't what I thought it was. There was this realization that, oh, there's kind of motive behind school. And, it was every year I kind of learned new things, that there was this ulterior motive to things. And you talked about it in an interview. You said you did some work with Deepak Chopra, and you kind of had this reality crumbling down. You were explaining how people go through this process when they realize that their reality isn't what they thought it was. Did you experience that? And what is that? Can you talk about that to give people some grounding so much stuff is coming to light right now. And a lot of people are like, wow, I didn't realize this is the way the world was.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I think deconstructing your reality is an important process, especially when you start to take more of the spiritual path and approach to life. because so many of our stories and our beliefs that we carry from childhood are actually inhibitors in terms of our experience of, let's say the truth, which is really this moment. The truth is right now and in the moment. It's not living in past narratives. It's not living in the future, the potentials of the future. It's living right now. And so too often we are so caught up with our programming, right? The beliefs that give way to programming, that we actually don't get to experience this moment or be here and now, and actually recognizing the opportunity that's available to us, the beautiful paths that are, opening before us, and the universe's gift present, right? The present. So deconstructing reality is a journey in that regard of, first of all, understanding that everything in your experience is your experience and no one else's. It's your consciousness. It's your reality. No one else is going to share it. No one else is going to see the world through your eyes, with your mind, with your heart. This is yours. So from that awareness, we hope to strive to become more aware, more conscious, more present. And thus begins, I think, the adventure of discovery that is this universe that's just so infinite, and at the same, so infinite that you can never quite grasp it. Right? That's the beauty. Like, people try to tell you what God is, or how God thinks, or what the universe is. Or they're all putting limitations and and you could call it fixations on things, as opposed to we can have an opinion, we can have our perspective, but we can also be open to the fact that the truth is subtle and changeable and malleable, right? And it's not just fixed for all time. There's certain principles that exist, but at the same time, if you're not in the moment, you can't really understand the truth, because you're caught up with the past perspective as opposed to seeing it from where you are at this
for what it is.
now.
Yeah. Do you think that comes from this obsessive fear of death? That I mean, I've seen this through the whole pandemic experience, right? It's almost like a willingness to live in cognitive dissonance because of this all-consuming fear of death.
Well, we faced it all our lives. For me, I know I felt very confronted by death at an early age and cognizant of it. So I really did my meditations on death, became comfortable with it in a you could say in a philosophical sense, romanticized it a bit. I wrote a poetry book that's out now called The Ephemeral Shades of Time. And a lot of those feelings towards death and eternity and the ephemeral, meaning like transient nature of this reality, are in that book of poems. So yes, confronting death is an inevitable thing. You have to do it. And as a society, I noticed it very strongly in the 2000s, because 9/11 was that wake-up call to say, yeah, death is real. I mean, it wasn't a huge number of people that died, but it was such an impactful event, such a symbolic event, that carried traumatic impact for the whole psyche of the planet, especially America.
Yeah.
And so it was like, this is your wake-up call. Yes, death is real. You don't have to run from it. You don't have to be living in terror. So they perpetuated this whole propaganda around the war on terror, but actually they were perpetuating terror by saying the war on terror, because you can't fight war on terror. War is terror. So you're basically saying that we're going to perpetuate terror in the process of fighting terror, which is just extrapolating more terror.
Right.
So essentially, they were running this psyop on people to put them in this state of terror, and not just confronting, death is real. It's a real thing. And every day, everyone goes through it, at some levels. Some human is dealing with it in their tragedy every day, right? The end of their world, or their friend's world, or their loved one's world every day.
Yeah.
Rather than doing like an actual reckoning and an inventory and saying, yes, let's feel into this and let's own it. It became, let's externalize it. Let's put it into that box that we don't want to deal with. Let's blame it on the terrorists. Let's blame it on this and that and the other, and not owning, how do you say, the inevitability of it, and the systems that we've created are ultimately everything that you create in this lifetime is ultimately going to dissolve and to go into dissolution and entropy, and our material things decay, our wealth decay, it slips away, our health and our well-being, everything slips away gradually in time. So it's nothing to be terrified about. It's something to basically make peace with, right? So
right. Well, and
yeah,
uses motivation, right, to fulfill in the present. Right. I mean, I think there's a lot of cultures who deal with death a whole lot better than we do. We have kind of this very sterile ritual in dealing with death, where there's certain steps, and then we bury someone, and then we kind of just suppress. I went through an experience like that when my mother died, and I had to face my own mortality, right? Because it became so scary for me because it was so real. And but once you can kind of work through that and realize that we're all energy, right? We're just a transfer of energy. And if experienced someone die, then you really profoundly understand that, because the energy leaves the body and you know exactly when they're gone. So I would love to see people kind of understand and embrace this transfer of energy when we die, instead of this overbearing fear, because the overbearing fear is such a great tool for them to use to control us.
That's it. It's just a tool.
Yeah.
And so, the focus, for me is the spiritual, which is to say we are spirit.
Yeah.
We are here by the grace of a creator, creation itself, which is transcendent, which is magical.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's embrace life while we have it, but let's not also hold on to it, right? It's like you cannot grasp at the water, you cannot grasp at air, right?
Yeah.
You can experience it, you can feel it, but if you hold on to it, it's not going to last, right? It will slip right through your fingers. So this is always the way I've approached life and my awareness, and I try to share that with others to help them to realize that we are here on an eternal journey. You say energy doesn't, as you said, energy doesn't die. It doesn't go away. It just transitions. It transfers to another form.
Yeah.
Such with our life. So the more we can become peaceful with that, and recognizing there's a fate and a destiny to these things, we can stop blaming so much. And so much of this coronavirus is exactly this this psychosis of victimhood and blame.
Yes.
Actually, it's a different type of psychosis than 9/11, which was a war on terror that played upon conservative fears of I can't protect my homeland. I got to protect the homeland. I got to go fight and kill terrorists, kill bad guys. And these people have an extreme ideology, which is true. There were real terrorists, but there was a lot of CIA black operations, financing of the terror operations, controlling of their operations, perpetuation of terror, because again, it's about resource control. It's about, you name it. Look at Syria. It was a great example of using ISIS to destabilize the Assad regime, and the creation of ISIS, I believe, from essentially as an overall orchestration allowed by the Obama administration, working with countries like Turkey and Saudi Arabia and others to basically, foment this jihadist group. Al-Qaeda itself, I think, had similar origins. So the point is that was a conservative fear. This is playing now on the liberal fear of the virus, because then they can use their atomistic version of science to say, oh, it's this little particle that's going to, get you if you don't wear this mask to protect yourself and protect your neighbor. And it's such a victim mentality of like, there's such a thing as your immune system and your own relationship to health. And out of the 50 or so people that I've known with coronavirus, none of them have died. So, and it's like from the extreme cases of older people and people that have, not in the healthiest condition, who had a harder time with it, to those that got over it in 3 days because they took ivermectin or zinc hydroxychloroquine and just they got right through it because they took some the treatment. Right. So it's like you sit here and go, it's such a victim psychology you're perpetuating, which is not, hey, this is my health, and just like anything, if I get sick, my immune system has to have a response. How can I bolster my immune system? How can I overcome it? Right. Psychology of let me, be strong and overcome this,
Yeah.
or, adapt with it. My
Right.
body can adapt to it, just as we've done for hundreds of thousands of years of evolution, incorporating viruses into our systems, and, and germs and bacteria, right? Just like when you're a little kid, you want to put it all in your mouth because that's how you build your immune system.
Right.
We've gone from that psychology into the victim psychology of wear your mask to protect me and protect yourself. Well, inhibiting your own breath
system.
and oxygen, and exactly your own immune system and your own, you name it, oral hygiene. I mean, just so many problems with this psychology.
Yeah.
And so that's where I think we are now. We're playing with the liberal hysteria, whereas in the 2000s, it was the conservative hysteria. Now it's the liberal hysteria that's being played up here, and never just taking ownership and saying, look, I have faith. I have true faith in my being's destiny and purpose on this planet. And when my time to go arrives, it will be whether it's a coconut landing on my head or the C word, cancer,
right.
or you name it, right? I don't care what it is. The flu, I was a 15-year-old with pneumonia. I had a walking pneumonia from a bad flu. If I was, a poor kid, maybe with like really unhealthy eating practices, maybe diabetic. A lot of kids nowadays have autoimmune disorders. A lot of people are not healthy. They're very overweight. They've got diabetes and heart issues and all this stuff. I mean, if I got the flu and walking pneumonia, I could have died. Right? That's a flu. That just goes to show it's not like, this is the first time that we've had to confront, viruses that can kill you, that are mostly mild. Let's be honest, coronavirus is mild. And you know why it's mild? Because if it wasn't mild, it would be killing young people.
Yes.
It would be killing children.
And we would see people dead, right? We'd be seeing people that we know dying and suffering from it. This is, I think, the first time too that we've taken the approach of painting everyone with the same brush in terms of how we treat. We do that individually as we show up with symptoms into doctors' offices. They dole out prescription medication like that. But this is like a one size fits all. This is like giving heart medication to a 16-year-old. Like we would never do that, or cholesterol medication, right? But in this case, it's totally fine, right? Everyone needs to wear a mask. Everyone needs to isolate. This is one prescription for the entire population.
Well, and let's be honest, no mainstream media or the CDC or any of these, Fauci, anybody will say what Fauci did back in the 2000s, which was hydroxychloroquine is really effective for SARS.
His paper.
Right? Yeah. Yep. I mean, very effective for SARS. Well, coronavirus is a SARS. It's a kind of SARS. So the fact that they won't even acknowledge it when thousands of doctors are saying it's effective, when people are literally saying, I took hydroxychloroquine and zinc, it was effective. And same with ivermectin. And you don't want people to hear that. That is a conspiracy to kill people.
Yes.
Like, why? You're saying the treatment could be dangerous, but if this virus is so dangerous, wouldn't you want to at least try the treatment? Why would you not want them to use that treatment? Because if the virus is so deadly and so dangerous, then you'd want to use whatever you have available, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Well, and a step further, I talked with Senator Scott Jensen, and he was telling me how they actually undermined physicians' ability to access HCQ, right? They went in through the pharmaceutical door. They sent out letters to pharmacists to inhibit the distribution of HCQ. Right. So
exactly.
And then today, I don't know if you saw today, but there was a new article out today about Merck, and Merck has discontinued its pursuit of a vaccine because they are now going to pursue therapeutics instead.
So what does that mean then? You're saying that they're going to pursue the therapeutics?
Yeah, because the race is over for the vaccine, right? Pfizer. Pfizer and Moderna won the race. So now they actually said that through their research, they've discovered that it's actually better to just get the wild virus and build up antibodies through that.
Thank you. And not only that, I mean,
But this wasn't even in the
this is
mainstream
the
news.
vac-
I mean,
this
I
is the
reported
vaccine.
it.
By the way, this is the vaccine that no one even knows if it's effective. Obviously, we know it has. People are having what is it? Anaphylaxis. Was it anaphylaxis?
Anaphylaxis. Yeah.
Anaphylactic shock reactions.
Yeah.
There have
And
been
we've had
deaths.
one death from ITP, which is my son was actually injured by a flu shot when he was little. And that was ITP. And now we've seen a 53-year-old die from ITP.
Well, I swear, I don't take injections anymore. I mean, I did a flu shot back in my college days, and I got sick from it.
Yes.
You realize that after that, I'm like, what's the point? If I'm going to
Yeah.
get sick with the flu, I'm going to get sick with the flu. Why am I going to give myself this vaccine, which not only has the flu, but also has just one of the strains, doesn't necessarily have all the strains.
That's
because I'm
right.
evolving every year. And then there's the heavy metals that come with it.
That's
And heavy
right.
metals, why am I going to put that, bypass my blood-brain barrier directly into my, my system? Why do that to myself?
Right.
I just focus on my immune system. If I get sick for a few days, I get sick for a few days. I mean, it's okay in nature. Anything. Look at how animals respond when it comes to illness. What do? They lie down. They don't eat. Oftentimes, don't even drink.
Yep.
They literally just lie there and let their system to fight it off.
Right. They labor through it.
How fasting can be so effective. Many people they're being lied to. They're like, you're sick. You should, eat bread and like rice. And I'm like, no, actually, you don't want carbs and sugars.
That's
in your system.
inflammation. Yeah.
That's actually like you're feeding the illness, because
Yes.
virus feeds on what? On sugars,
Sugar.
on on acidic environments.
Yep.
I always tell people, I'm not a doctor, but I say, look, you want to alkalize your system, right? One of the best ways to quickly alkalize your system if you're not feeling well, and I do this all the time personally, is just take baking powder, but food grade baking powder, right? You put a little baking powder with lemon, water, shoot it. You can take 6 to 8 times a day. See how you respond. If I'm on the verge, I'm cuspy. I do that for 2-3 days.
Yeah.
It's amazing how quickly it just helps my system reboot in a sense, right? And fight it off. So people have
I've used powdered magnesium with my kids for stomach aches for 10 years. And within half an hour or so, it's gone. Just a little hot water with lemon and some magnesium powder. Boom, gone.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, our systems know how to respond. Our bodies are designed to respond.
Yeah.
The pharmaceutical industry is not designed to tell you, hey, you have your own immune system. You can actually fight this off. The pharmaceutical industry is designed to tell you, hey, you need this.
We need money.
Exactly. So this has been the biggest payday, as we know, for the pharmaceutical companies this past year with Corona.
Yeah. Well, this is a business decision for Merck, right? I mean, there's no longer big money in the pursuit of the vaccine because the market's been cornered. So now they've taken a look at it and they see that some people are not wanting to take the vaccine. And so they're shifting gears and they're now going to offer something that people do want on the other end of the market, right? This is so obvious. It's laughable.
It's all obvious.
If you just think about it, it is really, for sure. I talked with you oh my goodness. Is that a puppy?
Okay, I'm gonna have to hold her on my lap because she's getting into trouble.
Oh. Now everyone has to watch the video because there's a cute little puppy on there. What's her name?
This is the machine gun. No, her name is Cora.
Holy, look at her eyes.
Yeah,
wow.
She's beautiful eyes.
She is beautiful. Great timing for a puppy.
Right.
A good distraction from everything that's going on.
Yeah.
So I just watched 1,000 Pieces not too long ago because I was chatting with Kathy O'Brien last week. What an amazing woman she is.
Yes.
She was just glowing with energy and light. And I'm just in awe of her considering what she's been through. It's pretty amazing. She said something that I thought was interesting. She said that she feels excited and I know that's her personality, but it was really great to hear that from her. She said she feels like we're hitting critical mass in terms of awareness. Now, you've been doing this work quite a while now with, you talk about the New World Order. You've mentioned the Great Reset that we're kind of going through. So, you've been at it a while. How do you think in terms of like critical mass, do you see a shift in awareness throughout this
I don't
last
know.
year? How do
I
you
don't know. I
feel?
mean, the Great Awakening, I believe in. I believe we're hitting a Great Awakening. I think my belief is that in my heart, I feel peaceful, which is always my indicator. It's not like
Yeah.
2000, the new millennium, man, it was dark. The energy was intense. I knew we were in for some real war and strife coming, I could feel it.
Yeah.
And I don't feel that now. I don't feel,
Really?
even like the Biden administration, it just doesn't feel real. It feels like a lot
It
of
doesn't feel
pretense.
real.
And it feels like pretense and with no energy. It's like the Wizard of Oz. It's like at this point, the point where the wizard has like the emperor has no clothes and the wizard is standing there like a scrawny little old guy.
Yeah,
No power,
totally.
got like a big megaphone called the media, but there's no energy behind it.
Yeah,
So
I
feel
agree.
like there's this, look, whatever is coming is coming. Nothing's going to stop, the plan. And I really think it's God's plan. It's like the universal design. We're in for some amazing events and transformations. And it begins with consciousness. Are people more awake? Sure, they're getting there. Are people, unfortunately, just shut down and doubting themselves? Yes, too much. Too many people are still buying the party line. They're believing
I agree.
reality, right?
Yeah.
They're walking around just with this sort of, you see, I put it at the beginning of this whole, I don't know if it was before or beginning. I do these Patreon meditations and talks, and I think it was right at the beginning of the pandemic or right around that time. I just was channeling and saying there's this need for sovereignty. Human beings stepping into sovereignty is what the New Age is about.
Yeah.
And it's a very difficult thing for many people who want to just be told by their, like I say, the party or the leadership or the doctor or the scientist.
Yeah.
Hey, this is what's going on. Hey, this is how you're supposed to believe. Hey, wear this mask and everything's fine. Hey, do this and just stay in line. That's the Piscean age. The Piscean age was all about lordship. It was all about school, learning. You are a subject. You're subservient. You're a serf. And then after serfdom, it's like you get to be a wage earner, right? A day laborer, right? But most of the time, it's like you're working at the behest of others for someone else's coin and currency, and basically by their grace. The only grace that we all live by is the grace of creation itself, of God, and to understand that we are reflections and reflections of that Godhead, of that Spirit. Then we start to step into our sovereignty and our gnosis, our inner knowing that we have the divine in us. Our intuition connects us to it. We have this cord, this spirit that never dies. And so as we can tune to that, to our gut, to our heart, not just in the head. The path to the heaven is not through the head, it's through the heart. But obviously our head is important in navigating to a certain extent, but really this is the captain of our ship right here. So sovereignty is what's coming, and this is where not everybody's gonna be ready for that. So as far as I see it, those who are meant to step into sovereignty and to embody the new earth will do so, and those that want to basically be controlled, or you could say enslaved at some level, chipped, programmed, roboticized, that may come for them. It's going to be interesting transitions. Very difficult to tell how the world is going to look, but imagine how the world would look in 10 years, let alone 100 years. These 100 years ago, there were barely airplanes, very basic airplanes. There was you had like a radio but no television.
It's hard to imagine
100 years ago,
and
what consciousness then would look like to if they came to us now, they'd be like shocked at this reality, right?
Yeah.
Can't imagine 100 years.
Yeah.
I won't be there to see it necessarily, but we're planting the seeds for it.
Right. Right. When you talk about sovereignty and like connecting through your heart, I've always read, like fear, worry, and doubt are kind of the disconnectors when you're talking about connecting to your heart and to spirit or God or whatever you want to say. Um, do you have defining points that you think disconnect you?
You said defining points?
Yeah, like fear, worry, or doubt. I always feel like fear, worry, and doubt are things that disconnect my what I'm, intuitively feeling. If I'm allowing fear, worry, and doubt in, then all of a sudden I can't get the message.
Hmm.
Do you have defining points like that?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't feel. I don't want to speak too much, to doubt and worry, but I just don't feel it that much anymore. It's almost like at some levels, I guess you could say, like I have some, some levels of like my nerves are, but it's not so much like nerves. It's almost like I get into my headspace,
Mm-hmm.
and then, if anything, I'll start to follow. Uh, how do you say? I'll start to look for answers outside of myself.
Yeah.
And I think that's really the only time when I could say I'm a little not rudderless, but like if I'm looking too much outside of myself for the answers, right,
Mm-hmm.
or the guidance, then I can get a little bit astray. And the key for me is to come back and check in with myself because I already have the knowing and I already
Yeah.
have the answers inside of me. And I say the same to others. I always say that you have the answers in you.
Yeah.
This is why we even seek out things in our life. It's like the Rumi quote, you are what you are seeking. You already have it within you. And that's why you seek it, because you're actually deepening your own relationship to your unconscious mind.
Right.
Your own, as Plato said, we're not learning as much as we're remembering, right? So the knowledge is already there.
Right.
We just want to refine it through the practice of, okay, I'm seeking something out. Maybe I'm inquiring, but ultimately it needs to come back to me. And how does this relate to me? And how does it connect to my knowing, my understanding?
Right.
This is the way we should live our lives. Hopefully it's like, again, not for others. We can give unto others, but first and foremost, we need to give unto ourselves. We need to foster ourselves, our own light, our own awareness, our own strength and grace and love, that we can then better offer to others what we already have within us.
Right. Well, with this kind of psychological operation, because that's what I call what's going on right now, right? It's the greatest psychological operation ever played out, I think, on the American people, well, citizens of the globe, really. But there's a lot of anger on both sides, and I'd be lying if I didn't say that I'm mad. Like I'm really mad sometimes because I have kids and I really want grandchildren one day. My kids are young, but one day I really want grandchildren and stuff. And I've attached myself to those things. And you were just talking about how we shouldn't really do that. But I did and I do. And so at times I'm mad, like really mad. There's a local diner here, and there's a lady that runs it, and she's staying open, and she has stayed open this whole time. And it's awesome. And we go there as much as we can. And she has a note on the door to subscribe to her texting so that if the health department comes, we can all go there and show up for her because she is not closing. Right. And I love that spirit. And I'm there for her. I want to be there for her. But I'm wondering why more people aren't mad. Like this is almost a year.
It's interesting. It's like, it's almost, really when the election was happening, and a lot of this anger was building up, and just outrage at the blatant fraud that was taking place, and the blatant disregard for the witnesses that were coming forward and giving affidavits and giving testimony, and it's like the courage that was shown, and then just the utter disregard by the media.
Yeah.
The people that follow the mainstream media are hypnotized to a different reality.
Yeah.
That's what we have to come to realize, is that if your
brainwashed.
reality is CNN's reality, then you're like, I call it inversions. I call it like 180 degrees off, because you're basically watching the puppet show and you have no conception of who the puppeteers are, and the fact that this is a shadow play. It's like Plato's cave. It's just, these are shadows on a wall, and you're basically buying into that reality as opposed to actually stepping back and reflecting for yourself if this something makes sense or feels off.
Right.
But people that have been programmed for so long, it's difficult to deprogram. It's difficult to like step into your own power first and foremost. I mean, you think about it, it's like, it's so much easier to just trust someone else to take care of it for you, right? If you think about it, it's very difficult to step into your own power. It's very difficult to take on your own responsibility. I mean, power to this lady to basically do it. But many people said, look, I'd rather just shut down and wait for the government check and wait for the Great Reset to come and take care of me, right? And so it's this interesting struggle that we have in consciousness right now, where we have to trust that consciousness and oneness of consciousness is guiding us exactly where we need to be to ultimately see for ourselves. And that's why part of the New World Order agenda has to be rolled out, if not fully rolled out, for people to experience what it is, that pain, that
the pain of enslavement, like that's more obvious, even though many people are already enslaved.
Slavery is such a powerful thing because, historically, most slaves don't revolt. Right?
Yeah.
And it's not to say that they necessarily are like lesser people that because they didn't revolt.
No.
But you don't have, this is where most the powers that be, the controllers understand that it's very difficult when you don't feel that you have power on your side.
Yeah.
Just to fight back or to stand up. Right. Most people, we feel disempowered.
Right.
Even when it comes to our critiques of the system, we don't necessarily know what to do about it, because what is the alternative?
Right.
Part of me believes that, or I should say my belief is that the alternative is going to reveal itself step by step, because everything in its time. First, you have to be outraged and angry. And then from that anger, you have the energy, the passion to drive forward in a new path. And I think that new path is step by step going to reveal itself and make itself available for those of us that want to leave that old system, that basically say this system is so corrupted and so degenerate and so vile that we no longer want to partake in it.
Yeah. I want to mention too about anger, because I'm really passionate about this topic. And I talk about it on my podcast quite a bit, that, there's been a conditioning around anger that has been made a big impact, especially on masculinity. And that anger is not like, it's not, you shouldn't have anger anymore. Anger shouldn't exist. And if you're angry, then there's something wrong with you. Right. And if you're not experiencing anger at all in your life, then you might be dead. Right.
Yeah, I would say as much. I would say that this is my big thing when it comes to like the spiritual arts and people that are talking about spirituality, as though they want to divorce spirit from physicality. This is actually like a Manichaean, you could say the Manichaean heresy. Some of these belief systems that were considered heretical, but they were problematic because they divorced this physical world from the spiritual world. And even the Gnostics, arguably had that problem where they were like, oh, the physical world is hell, so we focus on the spiritual world. We're only interested in the spiritual. We're going to meditate out of it. We're going to meditate and acknowledge that this world is hell, and we don't want to engage with it. Right? Or it's ruled by the devil, as they say. Well, the devil may be the prince of this realm, the physical, but he's still an agent of God, the way I put it. The way I see it is everything that's provoking dissonance, pain, suffering is actually meant to get us closer to God. It's actually meant to bring us to a new awareness of what it is.
You can't know darkness if you don't know what light is, and vice versa. You can't know light if you don't know darkness.
But it brings us more humanity.
Yeah.
right? Those of us that experience pain, everyone experiences pain, but those of us that can experience pain and still have empathy and still have understanding and
Mhm.
actually maybe have a bigger heart, you see, that's
Yeah.
more human.
Yeah.
And so this realm is not separate from the spiritual realm. This is the greatest opportunity to practice spirituality in the physical
Right.
form and how we show up and how we embody. And you know
Right.
what? Yeah, we can be angry. Is rage unhealthy? Probably.
Yeah.
But you know, how can you work with your anger to a way that you can have sacred rage, have sacred anger that
Right.
works through you, but you don't hold on to it. That's the way I guess part of me how I phrase it is like, if you're so angry and then you're holding on to anger,
Yeah.
then you're suffering.
Right.
But if
You're
you're
headed
angry in
towards
the moment,
disease.
it couldn't cause disease. But if you're angry in a moment and you can express that anger and still be able to hear the other person and be able to like engage with that person and
Yeah.
let the anger, come to its conclusion,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Such that you can speak your piece, you can, and then you can speak your piece, meaning come to your peace at the end of it,
Yeah.
right? Then you're not attaching yourself to your anger anymore. And that's really what's so important with anger, is to realize that we don't have to take it personally. We don't have to we can be, we can be angered, but ultimately, can we afterward let go and maybe see that situation, see that person in a new light, hear or learn from that situation, take it to like the next level? Or are we going to
Yeah.
hold on and be angered? Because that's really where we suffer, is when we're sitting there angry the rest of the day or the next, for months to come or years to come, we're still angry with that person.
Right.
What is that person triggering inside of us at a deeper level? You
Right.
see, if we're able to be angry in the moment and let it go,
Yeah.
then we're not holding on to our wounds. But if we're still angry thereafter, then there must be some wound inside of us that's
Right.
being triggered and we haven't worked on and worked with.
Right. But I think we're fostering a culture where we can't even have discussions or ask questions,
Of
right?
course,
Like this new level of censorship,
it's insane.
definitely on these platforms for sure, but even within our own personal relationships, people, I can't even question their viewpoint without them just shutting right down and like, okay, well, I don't want to talk to you then.
You see, it's the blessing. I did a interview with Daniel Pinchbeck on it's on my YouTube channel, and he wanted to have a conversation. And he's a much more liberal perspective. Believes in man-made climate change, believes in that the nation state is not necessarily the best form of government. Very much more anti-Trump. So we had a conversation. And does it get heated? Sure.
Yeah.
But the point is, at the end of it, it's like, this is what's beautiful about America.
Yeah.
We should be able to have these exchanges and
Yeah.
disagree. It's okay. That's the
Yeah.
beauty of our freedom of speech.
Yeah.
The
It's
danger,
unhealthy to not have your ideas challenged.
it's very dangerous when you have such conformity, right?
Yes.
And such
Yes.
extremism. And I saw that coming. I saw that in 2017 very clearly, 2016, 17. By the time that Trump was president, they said that he created civil war. Bullshit.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
2017, beginning of 2017, we were talking about this on Gaia on Buzzsaw, and I was like, they're creating civil war situation because the polarization is so powerful. The media's horn is so blatant.
Yeah.
They're so anti-Trump.
Yeah.
Everything that he says, they mock, they ridicule.
That should make you suspicious right there.
That makes anyone who has any idea what the media is and how controlled it is knows that that's suspicious. And more importantly, the disrespect for the president. Because I don't care, like,
Yes.
the media has never disrespected, and we've had some bad presidents. Let's be honest.
Yes.
We've had some presidents that were abysmal. We've had decisions that were abysmal. You never saw the media treat the president that way.
With such
So the fact
disrespect.
that they thought, oh, we have the right to basically attack this guy every day
Mm-hmm.
and call him a liar every day.
Yep.
You're creating a condition of people who watch that, who think everything, what you're saying is the truth, is gospel. They're taking CNN as gospel, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever, MSNBC, all these gospels, and they're perpetuating the lie. But more deeply than perpetuating the lie, they're not even doing what a journalist is supposed to do, which is show both sides.
Oh my goodness. George Stephanopoulos said yesterday, there is not two sides to this story in regards to election fraud. That is a direct quote. There is not two sides to this story.
Wow.
Wow, right?
Feel better, huh?
Yeah. I was like, I think you just canceled your job.
Thank you. So the point is that these people don't want to be able to say, hey, you know what Trump said here, I agree with, or this is a good point, or hey, there's 80 million Americans that resonate with this. Why?
Yeah.
Why are we now obliterating that 80 million, half of America, not half, but like essentially you're talking in terms of voter demographics, that's about half. Half of America, I don't care. I'm just obliterating. They don't exist.
Yep.
They're irrelevant. They're
Yeah.
white supremacists. If you're pro-Trump, you're a white supremacist.
Yeah.
You're a fanatic. You're an extremist.
Right.
Excuse me? You're waging war. You are perpetuating a civil war psychology.
Yes.
Literally. It's
And
like
why?
saying, you guys are Confederates.
Yeah.
What?
Right.
Right. Just because someone is pro-industry, and pro-keeping jobs in America now,
Yeah.
extremist.
Yeah.
This is the danger of what they are creating. This is the oligarchy. This is the people that own media. This is the Council on Foreign Relations view of the world, which wants one government. And I document that in my New World Order book for anyone who wants to understand it.
Yeah.
They don't want an idea of a nation state, America as a nation state, responsive to the people of America, the president being responsive to the people of America, a popular president holding rallies with tens of thousands, not hundreds of thousands of people showing up. My God, that's
all that energy.
That's fascism to them. How can that be fascism? To see that is fascism. Think about how far we've come.
Yeah. Well, they change the definitions of things in order to. So fascism isn't what we think fascism is. It's their definition.
How fascism goes back to the ancient Romans and how basically Mussolini adapted it from that idea of the militarization of the state. Fine. Trump didn't militarize America.
No. It's quite the opposite.
Has anyone heard about how we've militarized since World War II and thereafter? I mean, the way that they've portrayed this is such an inversion. That's why I said earlier, the media is inverting reality.
Yeah.
And people that don't get it are not really investigating. They're not really looking at who runs the media and how the narrative is controlled and designed. And I'll give you one example just through the Trump years. The media propagated for 3.5 years that Russia had tampered in the election to bring Trump to power. The only evidence of it that they ever presented, by the way, was things like RT, the news program.
Right.
That was like their main evidence was RT, or like a Russian hacker leaking the emails from the DNC, which, again, people like Bill Binney and others discredited that theory. And the death of Seth Rich certainly makes it a very strange theory that Seth Rich was much more likely the person involved in releasing that DNC. But even if you're alleging that Russian hackers leaked those emails, all that it showed was DNC corruption to make sure that Hillary was the candidate instead of Bernie. So basically, the Russians leaked truthful emails, and this is the great assault on our democracy.
Yeah.
Think about that for a second. So for 3.5 years, they peddled that the Russians colluded to put Trump into power, and they couldn't prove it in any of the investigations. This guy got thoroughly investigated. They couldn't prove any of that. So after that, they just walk away and then saying, okay, well, it's okay because now Trump is responsible for coronavirus, and then when the real election rig comes in 2020, we won't talk about it. There's an inversion of reality going on here, people. Yeah. It's time to wake up.
Yeah. How do we reach them, do you think? How do we reach people who are, I know talking with Kathy or whatever, one of the things she said is you can't really tell anyone that they're brainwashed. That's like the worst thing you can do is tell someone they're brainwashed. To get them out of it. So what can we do to, try to expose people?
You can. I mean, you can do what you can do. I mean, you speak.
Yeah.
How do you touch people? You touch them.
Yeah.
How do you help them learn? You speak your truth. You cannot force someone to wake up, because you try to force someone to wake up, you're a devil, right?
Yeah.
No one wants to sleep. You try to wake them up, they hate you, right?
Yep.
You can't force anyone. When they're ready, they'll hear you.
Yeah, that's a good point. As a filmmaker and a creator, and your dad's a big creator too, what kind of pushback did you guys come against, or have you come against with your content? Because you've got tons of content out there and it seems to just get out there. So I want to know, all my little stuff is getting shut down.
No, I mean, the main thing that, the main block that you find as a filmmaker or storyteller is just having trouble with getting something financed. But
yeah,
that's just part and part. That's just part of the business, right? The film business is never easy to get a movie made.
Right. Well, you're is it Washington D.C. or sorry, Hollywood D.C.
The
That
documentary.
yeah, I was able to watch that, and that was really good. And they talked a lot about just facing obstacles with the CIA and with the FBI. And your dad experienced that when he was working with or trying to get Platoon made and those different ones. That scripts even get changed upon request, or they request to change scripts.
Sure. I mean, that's something again. Yeah, people can see the documentary Hollywood DC for more information on that.
Yeah,
But
it's so good. I really recommend that. It really opened up a lot of things that I already knew, but also exposed me to some other things. Just coincidentally, one of the actors featured on there is a Canadian actor who I interviewed, a colleague of his recently, Kevin Annette, who experienced, just crazy shutdown. Just crazy shutdown
Right.
because of what they're trying to say, which is pretty obvious when you start looking at things. You can put the dots together pretty easily if you really take the time. And it's just not by coincidence that all these people are saying the same thing.
Right. No, I know. It's
I bet you do know. You're like, yeah, ladies.
You can't focus on that though.
Yeah.
I focus on the idea of if something is meant to be, it will be.
Yeah.
We all have our challenges and our hurdles, right, in our lives. We have to figure out how to get past them, or recognize when we're just not meant to, and find some other form of getting our truth out.
That's probably more grace than I have at this point. You have more grace than me.
Right.
I'm it's a struggle to walk this
Sure.
path of connecting to your spirituality, but also truth. And injustice is a horrible thing to watch.
Yeah, I know. But again, it's part of this world. It's not like it's never been a perfect place, but there's a logic to it, and there's a process to the journey. And to the challenges that are really helping, I believe, helping to strengthen us as souls. That's why we incarnate into this, to really build ourselves to be stronger, more empathetic, more wise. It's a journey for a reason. If it was just simple and everything was basically perfect and cohesive and balanced, there would be no growth.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Tell me about your podcast interviews, because there's some great ones on there and some wonderful stories that are so inspirational. How are you finding those, and why did you start interviews?
Interviews is just honestly, it was another season, continuation of buzzsaw type of shows, conversations that I thought were meaningful to me in this past year in 2020.
Yeah,
they're on Vocal now, and I mean, people should just go and find the interviews that they find interesting for them, right? Whether it's on politics or spirituality or aliens. I mean, very similar to content to what I did with buzzsaw.
Yeah. How do you embrace the story when you're, because you tackle some really great topics, but they're out there for most people. It's like, how do you know, is there like a vetting process that you go through? Do you feel it that like, I really want to bring this story some light? What makes you decide? Because anyone can say anything at this point, and how do we vet that and want to know that we're bringing light to the right stuff?
Sure. I mean, look, again, it's intuition. There's no perfect way of knowing knowing whose story is real. I just interview people that I find interesting, that I want to talk to.
Yeah. Well, there's some really good ones on there. What other projects do you have coming up?
Right now people should check out the Ephemeral Shades of Time, my poetry book. And I have a spoken word album that's called Alien Spirit. that's available the 29th of January on Spotify, iTunes, all those music platforms, basically.
Yeah. And what's your website where people can connect with you?
SeanStone.info.
Awesome. And are most of your documentaries available through YouTube, or is it on Gaia? Where's the best place to view some of those things?
No, I think my website, SeanStone.info, has pretty much all my work there. So people can find the links.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you, Sean, so much. This was a great conversation, and you definitely brought light to some of the things I've been thinking about. So I really appreciate you. I appreciate your work, your bravery, and your courage for always putting truth out there and standing by that.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And thanks for having me on. The least we can do is just keep the conversation going, keep spreading the message, and slowly by slowly, people do receive it. Need to hear it.
Yeah, I believe that too. Thank you so much, Sean.
Oh, you got it. Thank you.
If the naturally inspired movement makes sense to you, let's do this together and transform the medical model and help people take charge of their health. Learn more about how you can join the Naturally Inspired movement by going to naturallyinspiredadvocate.com or call me at 970-475-1000.